Sorry, my phone rang and it turned the video off. Okay, page 42 at the top. He's not going to tell me, we already did that. He's not going to tell me until I give him at least one name. I try to think of who I wanted to be, world champion like Judith Polgar or Magnus Carlsen. I typed Katrina Nino and press send. She's the youngest national champion ever, and even though she lives in Palo Alto, California now, she grew up 20 minutes outside of Boston, too. Ding, ding, ding. Oh my gosh, I scream, even though I'm sitting in my room all by myself. Are you messing with me, all right? Because if you are, this might actually be the meanest thing you've ever done. Red doesn't say anything back. When I pick up my phone to call him, it starts buzzing in my hand because he's calling me. I would never joke about Katerina, he says as soon as I pick up. Mr. Lee used to train with her back in the day. Shut up, I say. I can't believe this is happening. I know, right? I'm really glad I got to tell you, even though I obviously wish you'd been in school today. Same. By the way, I can't hang out on Friday. Really? Why not? I asked. Busy, he says. I keep waiting for him to explain, but he doesn't. It's weird. I can't remember the last time we didn't have movie night, and I was sort of counting on hanging out with Red before the tournament so we could practice. What are you doing? I ask. Dylan invited me to sleep over. Oh, cool, I say, even though I think it's the least cool thing that I've ever heard. I think about telling him to delete our text because the last thing I need is for Red to leave his phone out and for Dylan to read all about my personal business. But Red can't know how I feel about Dylan, and I don't want to make him seem like I'm asking him to pick, even though I want him to pick me. Day 2 with Dr. Sharma is mostly the same as day 1. Only Mom doesn't come inside the office. She drops me off and says goodbye from the car. Instead of moving blocks around on the table, Dr. Sharma reads numbers to me, and I have to repeat them back to her like a monkey. Then she has me look at different lines and shapes. I have to draw exactly what I see or connect a bunch of dots to create circles and squares and other designs. After we take a break, I read sentences and answer yes or no questions that seem to go on forever. When I'm finally done and home, Dr. Gold calls our house and asks to speak with me. Mom puts the phone on speaker and sits next to me. One of the things I'm doing as part of my evaluation is speaking with your teachers. Normally, I would have this conversation in person, but I was hoping you could tell me a little more about what happened while you were playing human chess at practice the other day. Why does that matter, I ask, because I really don't want to talk about it. I want to hear your perspective. That matters more to me than what anyone else says. Dr. Gold sounds serious, like she wants me to know she means it. I wasn't trying to ruin the game. I was mad. I had the answer and Red wasn't listening to me. He was just following whatever Dylan said, even though we're best friends. Not them. It sounds like maybe your emotions took over. Pretty much. Has that ever happened to you before, she adds. I think about saying no because that's what I want the answer to be, but Dr. Gold's trying to help me, and I don't want to make it harder for her. It happens a lot. Okay, she says softly, like it really is, and I don't need to be embarrassed by that part of myself in front of her, even though I am. I'm in my room trying to finish my homework when the phone buzzes. We got an A on our lab. It's Sanam. First bump, I text her. Go team, she writes back. Science was so boring and way harder without you. Please tell me you're coming back tomorrow. I think about telling her why I've been out because I want her to know, but I also don't think it's a very smart idea to tell her over text. So I just write, totes. Phew, she writes. See you tomorrow. Chapter 6. The next day, I'm excited to see Red and talk about Katerina's being at chess camp, only when I get to school, Red isn't on our bench. I sit down and wait for him, but after a few minutes, I start to look around because he's never this late. That's when I realize he's already here, standing on the opposite side of the crowded courtyard with Dylan and the field hockey girls. Even though 7th grade only started a few weeks ago, I can tell there are all these new unspoken rules that didn't exist last year. Like how out of nowhere being early to hang out before school starts is cool. And how it's totally regular for guys and girls who aren't best friends like Red and me to stand next to each other and talk in a group. I make my way through the crowd and over to Red. It's weird that he's waiting in a new place with a new big crew and I'm walking up to them like I'm the only one who doesn't belong. But as soon as Red smiles at me, everything feels good and regular again. You're back, he says, like he's surprised and maybe he forgot I was only missing 2 days. We were all so worried about you, Quinn says. Speak for yourself, Dylan looks at Quinn and then at me. I didn't notice you were gone. Where were you anyway? I can't believe I didn't think about how I was going to answer this question until now. Before I have a chance to respond, Quinn answers for me. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with her. Everything? Someone says under their breath. One of the other girls giggles. My chest tightens. I wish getting made fun of didn't hurt so much every time and I could get better at it. Like I have with chess, but it's kind of a thing that never seems to get easier. It's too bad you can't play chess anymore, Quinn says. I'm playing chess, I shout back. Wow, Quinn says, it's not my fault you're bad at everything. I got tested for ADHD, I say. It's not really a big deal. A lot of people have it. I try to sound confident. A lot of smart people like Albert Einstein, JFK, and Mozart, Red adds. Einstein, really? I definitely didn't know that. Because clearly Clea is just like Einstein, Quinn laughs. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but smart people don't get Fs. She looks at me when she says it. Don't, Red whispers to me. But it hurts so much, and before I can take a breath or think or stop myself, the words are flying out of my mouth, flying through the air like the letters and sounds and syllables are in control, not me. I didn't get an F. I shout, I didn't. Quinn doesn't say anything. No one does. It's silent. Everyone around us stops talking. They stare at me and then at each other, trading silent messages with their eyes, making it obvious that they think Quinn's right about me. The bell rings and everyone but Red disappears inside. Red stays next to me. Thanks, I say, for backing me up, because I want him to know it matters. I should have cut you off before, he says. I shake my head. You tried. I'm sorry. I won't do anything like that ever again. Okay, sure, Red says, like he really doesn't believe me. I promise, I say. I mean, that would be good. I didn't know all those people had ADHD, I say. Yeah, me either. I looked it up after we talked, because I realized I didn't actually know anything about it, he says. I was surprised. Everyone on the list I found was smart or really talented. I mean, if smart people have it, then I probably don't, I say. Maybe you do. I'm scared to find out. I feel like no matter what happens, it's going to be bad. Can't really get worse, he says. I nod, except deep down I'm afraid it's never going to get better. Because Quinn's right. I'm stupid. Smart people don't get Fs. I'm in science, pouring distilled water into a plastic cup when Sanum whispers in my ear, Do you like red? Definitely not, I say. Really? You're like 100% sure? I am. I swear, I say. I really thought you wanted to be BFGF with him. He doesn't give me that feeling in my stomach. She nods. I get what you mean. Who told you I did, I ask. No one. I just wanted to check. I mean, I'd obviously tell you if I liked him, I say. She adds a quick pinch of baking soda to the cup and says, Don't tell anyone this, but, She stops herself. Never mind. I won't. Cross my heart, I look at her. I swear, on chess. Sanum takes a deep breath and leans in closer. I think, I like him. Red, I mean. What? My voice comes out a little too loud. The girls at the table in front of us turn and stare. Shh, Sanum says. Sorry, I had no clue. I lower my voice. But that's cool, I promise not to tell. Has he ever said anything about me? Sanum looks at her hands. I mean, he's always talking about how you're way better at chess than he is. It comes up a lot. And I don't think he likes anyone else because I'm pretty sure he would have told me if he did. Sanum smiles. Good to know. Fingers crossed he likes you back. I cross my fingers with both hands. Sanum does too. It feels important. Like a secret friendship. Pact. After lunch, I go straight to chess practice and find my spot on the pairing sheet. I'm playing Quinn. No, why me? I sit down across the table from her without looking up. She's the last person on earth I want to deal with right now. I can't wait to start playing. All I want to do is zone out and float away to that far-off land where I'm not the problem. Except when I look at the board, half the pieces are missing. Welcome to Pawn Wars, Mr. Lee says. There should be 2 rows of pawns on the board in front of you. The player who gets one of their pawns to the other side first wins. This exercise should help you hone your skills and your pawn strategy. Just as a reminder, this is the last practice before our tournament on Saturday, so please be in our team room at 9:15 a.m. As you know from last year, I like to wait until we're together before I share who will be representing our team. I expect each of you to be on time and ready to play. Also, before you leave today, please sign up to volunteer at the raffle on Monday at lunch. There are a lot of great prizes this year that'll help us to raise money for our annual chess camp. Any questions before we get started? I have so many swirling around in my brain. Like, what are my chances of playing if I don't win right now? And how am I supposed to beat Quinn with pawns? Only pawns. Except I can't ask any of these questions out loud. Okay, then get ready to work, Mr. Lee says. Quinn hits the clock. I move my pawn on the queen's side up 2 squares and then tap the clock. Quinn slides her pawn on the same file up 1 spot. pretty sure I need to get my pawns in a position where they're in a little triangle because I want them to be able to protect each other as I move them forward. I basically need to create a situation where my pawns outnumber Quinn's. That way, even if she captures one of mine, I can capture one of hers and still be defended. At first, my strategy is working really well, except Quinn has the exact same plan. She moves her pieces quickly and hits the clock in this way, like she thinks she's definitely going to win. And I can't tell if she has experience playing with only pawns or if she's just acting super confident because that's how she is. We go head to head for a while until she eventually outnumbers me. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do next. I only have 2 possible moves, and neither one is going to get me to the other side of the board. There's no way for me to win. I'm about to give up when I realize I only have 2 legal moves left. If I make both of them and Quinn still hasn't won, it's a draw. It's not winning, but it's a lot better than losing, and if Quinn goes for it, it could maybe be enough to impress Mr. Lee and secure my spot in the tournament. I slide my pawn up 1 square. Quinn immediately captures my pawn with her pawn. I make the only other legal move I can, and Quinn moves another of her pawns towards my side of the board, aiming to win, but there's nothing left for me to do. I put my hand up so Mr. Lee knows we're done. What are you doing? Quinn glares at me. I don't have any moves left. The game is over. Awesome, she says. I love winning. It's a draw, I correct her. That's what I meant, she says, quickly trying to pick up the pieces, but it's too late, I already know. Mr. Lee walks over to us, holding his clipboard. Great work thinking on your feet, Clea. Very smart strategy. He's looking at the board and nodding. Like, even though I didn't win, he's still impressed. Like, maybe my draw is enough to convince him that I'm advanced and ready to play in the tournament. Chapter 7. Let's see how many pages this has. These are long chapters, but those weren't as long. On Friday, my stomach is fluttering when Mom and I get to Dr. Gold's office. Dad's in the waiting room. He smiles as soon as we walk in and moves his luggage out of the way to make space for us. He hugs me, squeezing extra tight, and then kisses Mom, wrapping his arms around her. He doesn't let go even after we sit down. His hand stays firm against her shoulder. Dad's been in California all week working on some big deal. That's going to take up a lot of extra time. For the next few months, he's not always going to be home on Thursdays. It's only been a week and I already hate it. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to have that kind of dad who stayed in the same place for a long time. And then I think about Red and how his dad's never home because he lives in a different house, a different state. And I feel bad being upset when he has it so much worse. Mom whispers something in Dad's ear. I wonder if she's talking softly because she doesn't want me to know what she's saying, or if there's some secret rule we're not supposed to disturb other people waiting. We aren't the only ones in the room today. There are a few other families, but it's still silent. I put my earbuds on and turn on one of my shows because I want to zone out for a few minutes. Only Mom keeps glancing over at me and when she thinks I'm not looking, like she's checking to make sure I'm okay, and I'd be fine if she'd stop staring and making it impossible for me to think about anything other than what's about to happen when Dr. Gold finally opens the door. I'm not sure I know how I feel other than nervous. No matter what she says, the news is going to be bad. I don't want her to say everything's fine when I know deep down it's not, and I don't want anything to be wrong with me either. Dr. Gold opens the door and says, "Come on in." She's wearing a long dress that's covered with pink and purple flowers. I walk into her office first and pick the chair by the door. Mom and Dad sit next to each other on the sofa. "Welcome," she says to Dad, "and welcome back." She smiles at Mom and then me. It feels hot and cramped in her office today with an extra person. Everything seems smaller. I look down at the shaggy rug and remind myself to breathe. Dr. Gold continues, "Let me start by saying that you did very well on the intelligence test, Clea." I look up at her because I'm not sure I heard it correctly. "Well, that's good, right?" Mom's words come together. Dr. Gold nods. "No way," I say. "That's definitely a mistake." "It's not, Clea," Dr. Gold says. "You have a high IQ, and you don't have a learning disability that might be causing additional processing challenges." "So what's wrong with me?" I blurt out. I know you're eager for an answer, and you will have one very soon. What I want to do right now is to share what Miss Curtis and I both observed during your evaluation, as well as some of the challenges that your teachers shared with Miss Curtis. Then we can talk about the rest of those challenges. Does that sound okay to you? "I guess," I say, because I don't want to be rude, but I really wish she'd just get it over with and tell us already. Dr. Gold looks at her notes. "We notice that you struggle to follow instructions. You have a hard time listening and paying close attention to details. It's difficult. You're easily distracted in class and at home and forgetful when it comes to things you're supposed to do every day. It's hard for you to stay focused. These are all symptoms of inattention," she says. At the same time, you also struggle with impulsivity. It can be challenging for you to wait your turn and take your time, which can cause you to fall and run into things. You have a tendency to blurt out what you're thinking, interrupt conversations, and talk over people. I still don't get it. Nothing you said is that big of a deal. I was just thinking that, Dad agrees. All those things happen to me. The difference is Clea experiences these symptoms persistently. They're enduring and constant for her. And while each one on its own might not seem like a big deal, when you put them together, they're happening at the same time. They can get in the way and create a lot of problems they already have. Okay, Dad says. I can see that. Mom nods. Me too. The official diagnosis is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, predominantly inattentive presentation. I don't get what having ADHD means. Like, what's going to happen to me now? That's a great question, Dr. Gold says. Miss Curtis and I will work together to come up with a plan to support you in school, which will include things like organizational help, weekly check-ins, extra time. Then I'll speak with your parents about the possibility of combining our plan with medication to help your symptoms. So basically, this is like a fancy medical way of saying I'm stupid and lazy and here's a pill to fix everything, right? ADHD has nothing to do with intelligence or work ethic. Dr. Gold looks right at me when she says it. That makes no sense, I say. I need to try harder and focus so I stop messing everything up. Dr. Gold takes a deep breath. Clea, because you're so capable, intelligent, and driven to succeed, you've been able to compensate for your ADHD. But as the demands of school have increased, managing your work has become more challenging. I suspect that's created confusion about what it means to work hard and that you've spent a lot of time blaming yourself for not putting in enough effort or for not being good enough because you didn't realize that ADHD was standing in your way. All the things Dr. Gold just said seem like they could be true, but it still feels like everything that's been happening in school is my fault, even if I did have ADHD. Now I'm afraid maybe I messed up her test too, because that's my kind of thing lately. I don't want her to give me a plan or a pill that doesn't work because she thinks I'm something I'm not. I don't think I should take medicine, I say. Clea, Mom says, that's a decision for the adults. I can't let Mom, Dad, and Dr. Gold sit around talking about me when I'm not in the room. And I don't want parents to decide. They never know what's right for me anymore, like with chess and how they want me to quit even though I love it. It's happening to me. I should get a say. I know, sweetheart, but this is a very serious decision. Dad and I will figure out what's best for you. I bet, I roll my eyes, because you're so good at that. Don't be rude, Dad says. I'm being honest, I say. I don't want to take medicine. I'm sorry you feel that way, Mom says, but if there's a way to solve this problem, we're going to at least consider the option. And I'm sorry for being such a huge problem, I say back. That's not what I meant and you know it, only I don't. I like to be transparent with my patients at every age, especially when they ask to be involved, Dr. Gold says. What might work best is if we all discuss the option of medication now, take the weekend to digest, and come back together next week to make a decision. And if your parents have any follow-up questions, I can find a separate time to talk with them, since ultimately they will be the ones deciding if medicine is or isn't right for you. That works for me, Dad says. Me too, Mom says. Fine, because I like that Dr. Gold always talks to me. And even though I don't think it's fair what happens 100% is up to my parents, I know nothing I say is going to change the fact that they're adults and I am not. Okay, good, Dr. Gold says. First of all, I want to be clear that ADHD is a variation of how some people's attention systems work. It's something you'll have to learn to manage, but nothing is broken. So the medication used to treat ADHD is not a problem solver. Dr. Gold looks at Mom. That said, we have found that when medicine is prescribed in conjunction with educational support, patients have a high rate of success managing their symptoms. If you're open to combination treatment plan, I'd recommend a very low-dose stimulant, which would increase dopamine levels in Clea's brain to boost concentration and reduce impulsivity. The medication I'd likely prescribe would take about 20 minutes to an hour to kick in, and it would work for about 12 hours. Are there side effects, Dad says? Short term, there can be. Reduced appetite, agitation, stomach aches, trouble sleeping. We want to monitor Clea closely to make sure we have the right medication and the correct dose, especially as she continues to grow. But there are no major long-term effects. How can anyone know this, Dad says? These medications are so new. That's actually not true. The main ingredients in the stimulant I'd likely prescribe are amphetamine, which was first synthesized in 1887, and methylphenidate, developed in 1944. Dr. Gold explains. A lot of research has been done to both. Interesting, Mom says. I don't know, Dad shakes his head. I would encourage you to hold off on making any decisions right now. Give yourself time to think this through the information over the weekend, and take home some reading material. Dr. Gold picks pamphlets off her desk and hands one to each of us. There'll be some trial and error, and whatever plan you decide on doesn't have to be forever. The goal is to figure out what Clea needs to manage her ADHD. You can always commit to one approach and then reevaluate it if the plan's not working. That makes sense, Dad says. How long does this trial and error part take, I ask, because even though I don't want to try medication, I really do need things to get better in school. It's different for everyone, Dr. Gold says. The plan we came up with first could help right away. That'd be great, I say. It would be, Dr. Gold said, but it might also take a little time to figure out what exactly you need. But if you're open to the options and willing to work with Miss Curtis and with me, we'll find a plan that makes school much more manageable for you. Even though I'm scared, I know Dr. Gold wants to help me, and I need to try as hard as I can to trust her. Okay, I say, I am. Good, Dr. Gold says. We'll start implementing an education plan right away. That'll help you a lot, and we can talk more about medicine next week. It would have to be Monday morning, Dad says. I leave for the airport at 10. Dr. Gold picks up her phone, scrolls through the schedule. Does 7:30 work? Mom and Dad nod. She types something and says, okay, then I'll... Wait, I shout before she can enter session. Everyone looks at me. Remember before when you said my intelligence test was good? Are you sure? Can you check my answers one more time? Because the test is the reason Dr. Gold thinks I'm smart, which means the results have to be wrong. Dr. Sharma is extremely thorough, so I'm very confident that the score is right. Dr. Gold says, Clea, I think it's important for you to hear that ADHD and intelligence are not connected. They're completely separate. When you can concentrate and you aren't distracted, your brain is very capable. I nod because I can see what she's saying and I want to believe her. When our appointment's over, Mom rushes out of Dr. Gold's office because she needs to pick Henley up from speech therapy. By the time Dad and I get outside, she's already gone. We walk over to the car, and as soon as I get in and close the door, Dad turns on Kiss 108 because he knows it's my favorite station. How is California? I ask before he has a chance to question me about ADHD or medication or anything else. Not as good as home. I always miss my girls. I already know Dad doesn't like being away for work, but it feels good to hear him say that we're the reason. It's a kind of thing that never gets old, like plain cheese pizza. It makes me think that maybe I'm not the only one who gets an empty pit in my stomach when he leaves. What'd you have to do this time? I roll down the window a little bit and breathe in the fresh air as we drive home. I spent the last few days meeting with people who run different parts of the company we're thinking of buying. This morning I toured the factory, and now I have to review the information, the numbers, and do some math, and figure out what else I need to know in order to decide if it makes sense for my company to buy this company. That sounds really boring, I say. I mean, no offense. He smiles. I think you'd like my job. It's a big puzzle. I have to figure out if the pieces fit together. But you have to do math, I say. Ugh, that part's easy. Not for me. I know school's been hard for you, but you're a whole lot better with numbers than you think you are. Dad's voice is steady, like he really believes what he's saying. I try to let his words sink in, because maybe if I think I'm good at algebra, I will be. Can't hurt. I can help you with your math homework this weekend. Tonight after dinner, I know I need to schedule time if I want it to happen, which I do, since Dad's the best at explaining math to me in a way I can actually understand. Isn't Red coming over, he asks. I shake my head. Is everything okay? Yeah, it's fine, I lie. Let's go over your math problems tomorrow, he says. I have some work I need to finish up tonight. We'll be home from the tournament after lunch, I say. Mr. Lee and I might get picked to play, because Mr. Lee said I might get picked to play. Because I'm really good. That's great, kiddo, Dad says. I have a few calls in the early afternoon, but we'll find a time. Sunday will be better. I nod and try not to get my hopes up too high, because that's what always happens. Dad wants to help me, but then he can't because of work or Henley or something else that needs him more than I do. When we pull into the driveway, Red's on our back steps like we're supposed to hang out. I called you a million times. Why didn't you check your phone? His voice sounds shrill and his eyes look sad. What's wrong? I ask. My dad was sitting in the kitchen when Eddie and I got home from school. He expects us to drop everything and go to some stupid lake in New Hampshire with him and birth. I mean, we have a tourney tomorrow, and I'm never going anywhere with her. Red's voice is loud. I want her to stay in Colorado where she belongs. I hate her face. Looks like it's made out of plastic, like she's always smirking, like she's so happy about ruining my life. He looks right at me with his dark blue eyes. I've never seen him like this, angry and loud, like he's about to explode. I wish I knew what to say or do to make it better for him, but I can't think of anything. He doesn't look away. He stares at me like he wants what I want, for me to be able to fix his family. I'm so sorry, I say. I sit down next to him on the steps, even though there's hardly enough room for both of us. Everyone keeps telling me to calm down, even my mom, and now I feel like maybe they're right, and I totally overreacted. No way, you didn't do anything wrong, I say firmly, because I know I'm right. Your dad's the one who messed up by moving away and flaking on you, and he can't just expect you to go on a last-minute trip with him and his barfy girlfriend. So no, you don't have to be calm if you don't feel like it. Red nods, like he's trying hard to believe me. He takes a deep breath and lets out all the air in his one big long sigh, like he's deflating, and then leans forward and puts his head on his hands. I don't notice right away, but his back is pulsing, and every few seconds he rubs his eyes. I'm pretty sure he's crying. I've only ever seen Red cry one other time when he got hit in the leg with the baseball during gym. But that was a different kind of crying. He was hurt on the outside, and after the bruises healed, we never talked about it again, because it didn't matter. Not like this. I put my hand on his shoulder, and then I don't know what to do with it. If Henley were upset, I'd rub her back and tell her it was going to be okay, but this doesn't feel the same. And not just because the situation probably won't be okay for a long time, maybe forever. Something about rubbing Red's back feels awkward now that my hand is there. Only before I can move it away, he leans into me, like he's so tired he can't hold himself up anymore. His head is heavy against my shoulder. I leave my hand where it is on his fleecy jacket because I want him to stay next to me until he feels better. When he finally sits up, his eyes are red and swollen. He looks down his phone. Eddie's picking me up soon, he says. She needs to drive me to Dylan's now because she's sleeping over at a friend's house tonight, too. I ignore the sleepover comment. I don't want to think about the fact that Red is leaving to hang out with Dylan instead of staying to eat pizza and watch movies with me. What does Eddie think about everything, I ask? She acts like it's not happening, which isn't fair at all. I mean, she's the only one who gets what it feels like to have her dad move across the country, and not being around and stuff. We're going through the same thing, but it's almost like we're not. Oh, I'm so sick of talking about my stupid family. I know, I say. It feels like it's never going to get better. I'm sorry, I want to tell him it will, but I'm not sure if that's true, and I don't want to lie. Wait, where were you before? He asked. Why didn't you answer your phone? I was at the doctor, I say. Oh, yeah, I forgot that was happening, he says. Do you have ADHD? Yes, I say, picking up my nails. But do you think you really have it? I have it, I say, like it's a fact, because Dr. Cold said it. There are 3 different kinds. One where you jump out of your seat a lot and where you can't pay attention, and because your brain's being distracted like every 3 seconds. I have that one. And the 3rd kind is where you have the 1st and 2nd at the same time. Dr. Gold said, once we have a plan, I can concentrate. I'll be good at school again. Cool, Red says. I mean, a plan sounds good. If school weren't so hard, it'd be way better. Yeah, I say, it will be.